Portland is known. It's known for its bicycle scene. I talked a while ago about how, some individuals are moving into Portland because of the bicycle riding atmosphere and how popular of an event it is. But even bicycle riding, picture guys just going ham for a couple hours, helmets on, just streamlined, just going. That's down considerably in Portland. And it's interesting. One of the reasons that's being recognized, not saying it's all the reason, but homeless people and getting around and homeless tents in the bike lanes. Yeah. Portland's not willing to blame it all on that, but guess what? Most of it's on that, right? You want to be, swerving around crazy people, high people coming out of their tents that are in your lane. You got to swerve into traffic. I don't want to. People in Portland who are crazy about riding bikes, they don't want to either. Let's jump on in. Let's see what we've got going on. Here we go. Bicycle riding in Portland drops to levels not seen since 2006. Portland Bureau of Transportation study finds, hey, there are people riding on the streets in Portland. What's up with that? I find it, all of these things to me are just like, we know what the story is. We know what the deal is, but we have to have all these articles and we have to kind of, we got to talk about this angle. We got to talk about this angle. How about you just clean up Portland? How about you just address some of the drug issues? How about you don't let people, live in tents willy-nilly wherever? How about you cut down on the ecosystem of crime? How about that? Nah. We got to blame the weather. We got to blame the pandemic. The numbers have been dropping since the pandemic. Well, how has the homeless drug addiction issue done since 2019? Have those numbers dropped? Are we having less of an epidemic of fentanyl overdoses now? No. It's going up, right? It's going up. See, these are obvious reasons for what's going on. And I find it interesting. Well, you got this and this. Nah, people don't want to ride their bikes around crazy people whacked out on drugs. That's the bottom line. Data from the Portland Bureau of Transportation shows a significant drop in the number of bicycle riders in Portland 2022, which had the lowest number of cyclists since at least 2006. Yeah, everything's being impacted. Quality of life in general. Portland was one of those communities that was known. I mean, they've got more, green lanes for bicycle riding than, so much of the other social stuff in their culture. Riding bikes is important. People are holding back on that. The numbers have been declining since the pandemic, and looking at information from the city's Bicycle Counts 2022 report, KATU gathered several factors for why people have stopped commuting by bike. Now, some of the deal is they're not going into downtown. They're not commuting in there. And some of the reason they're not commuting in there is that it's not safe. You got crazy nut jobs. So it all kind of goes together. All right. People riding bikes specifically to get into downtown. That's a hard no-go, right? That's a hard no-go. One of my podcasts yesterday was on the geniuses in Portland. They're doing a couple of initiatives where they're going to make it easier to convert commercial office space into residential, which is a terrible idea. Just for so many reasons. You can check out that podcast. I'm not going to get into it, but it's like they're trying to come up with any other scheme and thing to point to. Hey, we're doing this. We're going to get people back into downtown. We don't have enough people riding their bikes into downtown now. So why could that be? Why would that be? Some of the top concerns we heard are over homeless camps and tents on bike paths and aggressive drivers on the roads. Well, how many traffic cops does Portland have right now? Or how many traffic cops did Portland have as of a couple of months ago when I podcasted on that topic? Uno. At one. Yeah, one. So aggressive drivers, why wouldn't they have aggressive drivers? I mean, this is some pretty basic stuff. And yet, there's a lot of different reasons that things might, not be going in the right direction in Portland. We can't figure it out, but let's talk about it and let's do another study. I definitely see homeless on bike paths, and that is tough to drive around them, said cyclist Tiffany Quarles. It forces you onto the road and off bike paths, and also aggressive drivers who don't seem to want bikers on the road. This is Portland. Portland loves bikes. Portland loves bicycles. And we've got the velodrome here in Redmond in Microsoft territory. And, we've had some world-class riding events, and it's cool. I'll go there and watch people doing the velodrome thing. Those bikes don't have any brakes, because if you have brakes, it's more weight and you want less weight. I find that fascinating to watch. Just these guys just going crazy in a bowl, right? I mean, they just go so hard. And I'll go there and we'll walk around, and I'll fly a drone in, in one of the parks that you can do that. And walk around and see what's going on. Marymore is an enormous park. And, the bike community is such a big thing. I mean, those guys are really into it. And, here we're just talking about regular people riding their bikes. But if you think about it, if you have to make the choice today, all right, here's my route in my head. Here's what I'm going to be doing. And I know that one encampment's just gotten bigger and there's more. I don't want to go through there. I don't want to deal with that. And that means I got to get on the road. And literally, if you get on the road and you've got aggressive drivers because you got one traffic cop, I mean, these are not hard things to put together, right? Even for a real estate guy from Seattle. This is not rocket science, folks. It's just not. But it is entertaining to watch all of these pieces coming together. What is going on why don't people want to ride their bike? Why don't people want to come to downtown? Why don't big conventions want to come? One thing that was super interesting is that there's a convention coming to Portland in 2025, and it's like a big teachers union. It's a big teachers gathering, about 7,000 teachers. I think they will take down about 35,000 hotel rooms over the course. I believe it brings in about $18 million to the community. I'm wondering how that's going to go. I figured that they put that together a year or so ago and then announced it now. I don't really know. But can you imagine? Hey, let's go to Portland. I hear good things. I hear some great stuff. Walmart's leaving, and every other major business is leaving and half the town's boarded up. But record levels of murder and gunshots and 11,000 vehicles being stolen, one traffic cop. I mean, it's all good stuff, right? Yeah. Let's do a convention in Portland. Hey, teachers, what's wrong with you? I don't get it. Let's go to Portland. Yeah, let's give Portland a try. I mean, Portland's always so quirky, and Portlandia. One of the things I do talk about is the beauty of Portland. So I can understand riding a bike. I mean, it's pretty there. Just you got to get through all the homeless nonsense if you're riding in an area where that's a thing. And what we're saying is that there is enough of that going on in Portland where people don't want to ride their bikes. They don't want to ride their bikes. That's sad. You got this beautiful environment with rivers and mountains. You got 3 major mountains right there. You look east from Portland, from downtown Portland. You look across the Willamette, you look across the Columbia. You've got this amazing cascade volcanoes right there. It's impressive. But then if you look, a little bit closer in, you're like, good Lord, what am I doing here? What's going on here? Let's read a tweet from Emily Giersch. Attention bicyclists. According to new data from Portland Bureau of Transportation, cycling is down to 2006 levels. Oh, that's not good. Across 184 locations, Portland Bureau of Transportation recorded a 37% drop from ridership from just 2019 to 2022. I wonder if that 37% drop corresponded with a 37% increase in homelessness and drug addiction. Bet you it did. Guaranteed it did. Not saying that they're exact correlations, but something like that. Here's the poll. If you've stopped biking, why? Feel free to comment if your reason isn't. So we've got aggressive driving being the top one. Don't throw in homeless there. I mean, we can't have the negative attention and negative news media focusing on Portland. We can't have that. We need more positive reporting. Yeah. Anyway, number 2 on the list is homeless on bike path. Okay. Number 3 is bike theft. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. That's been an enormous deal too. So you got thousands of cars literally being stolen in Portland all the time. Not saying that it's not happening here in Bellevue. We've got some criminal activity going on here in Bellevue. We've got a squad of 3 dudes that are running around in Lakemont community, and they've been doing it all over, but an expensive South Bellevue community. And what they do is they park their getaway car. They walk on a trail that goes into the backs of these very nice big homes. They break into homes where people aren't at home, steal the stuff, take the stuff down the pathway, and get in their getaway car and go on. So you've got some, major stuff going on. Bike theft in Portland makes absolute sense. You got an expensive bike and you will literally see, I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, where it was kind of shocking to people, but there was open air stolen bike parts and stolen bikes being sold. And I remember one of my podcasts was a reporter asked a dude with a whole bunch of brand new bikes that were like really expensive, clearly straight up stolen. And the guy said, yeah, somebody came by and just donated these to me. A bike dealership just donated to me. So I'm, selling them. That's what I do. Guy's just got all these stolen bike parts. He's selling them out of a tent in a park in Seattle. Okay. Yeah. Welcome to Seattle. Welcome to Portland. Bike theft. Number 3, work from home. Okay. All right. That's a legit, but it also plays into the ecosystem. If you really liked riding your bike, hey, I got to go into the office 2 days a week now. I'm going to ride my bike those 2 days. That's what you're going to do. But now, if you think your bike might get stolen, or if you think you might get hit by an aggressive driver, or if you think, you're going to have troubles navigating your path and you just don't want to go out into traffic, I'm that kind of bike rider. I'm not that confident. I'm okay. I'm better on a scooter. I'm better on one of those little scooters. Yep. That's where I go. Cause electric motorized. It's good. I haven't ridden a scooter in a little while. I need to do that again. That's pretty fun. So all of these things go into get woke, go broke, because that's what you got going on. And now even more so, what you've got going on is people not enjoying the things that they moved to Portland for. And bike riding is one of them. It's a beautiful environment, flat in a lot of these areas. People don't want to ride their bikes from the burbs into downtown because of all this nonsense. And it's not like 37% is a 12% decline. That's a big decline. I mean, that's easing up on half. Take your big group of riders and they're like, well over a third are saying, I don't think so. I'm just going to leave my bicycle at home. I'm going to do the exercise bike in my den. Not safe out there. Good Lord. You get run over, get your bike stolen. Yeah. Run into a tent. Springwater Trail is definitely not as accessible as it used to be, added Matthew K. The editor of Bike Portland, Jonathan Mouse, says homeless people on bike paths need to be included in any conversations on solutions and safety. No, they don't. No, we need to sweep them out, need to get them into treatment, need to get them off the roads, off the sidewalks, not living willy-nilly wherever they are. Don't need to have homeless people on bike paths included in conversations. That is silliness and that is nonsense. Okay. I'm going to keep going here. What we've ended up with is allowing people to just sleep anywhere. And there's never been a conversation about taking the transportation routes and make sure that people who use them can feel safe and still get to where they need to go, said Mouse. No, because you've just allowed the homeless to take over and now it's impacting you to the point where it's impacting the very thing that people love about Portland. One of those aspects is, physical beauty and riding your bike around going, oh, look at this. This is great. And now 37% less of the bike riding population are doing that. They're like, oh, no, I'm just not going to ride my bike. And that goes to Population decline. And we've seen that in Portland. We had this massive ramp up of population over the years. And now, even though it's only just a couple of thousand people in the last year or so that have left net, that's a huge change from where it used to be, which was, hey, come to Portland. It's great. We love it here. Portland is one of those towns that is still attracting young people. They haven't had the long-term memory to know what Portland was like before. They just go there and think, greatest thing ever. I'm still going to ride my bike. Don't care about the homeless. If I get run over, I'm 28. I'm never going to get run over. That's not me. That's somebody else. That's some old dude. According to Portland Bureau of Transportation, there was a 46% drop in cyclists between 2013 and 2022. All right. 46. Those are huge numbers. And this is a steady decline, right? So 2013 and 2022, and then a 37% drop between 19 and 2022. The pandemic years, right? Pandemic years. One of the other things that isn't mentioned here, that is usually mentioned in an article like this, is the violent riots that came out of the George Floyd era. Who wants to ride your bike around that? Do I have to pack my gas mask today? Do I need to pack my goggles, my face mask, so that I can get through the mostly peaceful protests? I had to play it in there too. Now, most people aren't riding their bikes at night, right? But if you were one of those riders and your route was through downtown, you might not want to get caught up in that. That might be a no-go. It's probably not a major factor like it wasn't in this article, but that's got to be in the back of your head somewhere. Yeah, if I run into Antifa, how's that going to go? I'm just going to leave my bike at home. I'll drive. I'll take an Uber. Portland Bureau of Transportation spokesperson Dylan Rivera said the Bureau is currently doing research to find solutions for the cycling decline. Clean up the city. How about that? No, we need to, you know what they'll come up with? Is, we need wider sidewalks. Well, we need more defined bike paths. We need to bring the color green into our traffic schematics more. We need to make it more green. We need to have fewer toxic emissions near bike paths. That's what they're going to come up with. Some real nonsense like that. In reality, get the homeless situation cleaned up by putting people into treatment and or just making it known we're not going to allow you to live willy-nilly wherever and do your drugs and steal from the community, steal from stores, all that stuff. We're not going to allow you to do that anymore. The leadership in Portland, they won't do that. That's just not where they're at. The city has a coordinated response about homeless camping, whether it's on the sidewalk or street or a bike lane. We don't know how that compares with other factors that might explain these numbers, said Rivera. He's saying that they have a coordinated response, and yet their coordinated response is not working. It's clearly not working because people don't want to ride their bikes. And that's one of the major reasons, right? I mean, again, it's not that hard to figure out. But then if you're in Portland, you're one of those folks that probably voted in a lot of the stuff that we are seeing, and you're having to live with it. And no, this is one of those things where people openly don't want to talk about, hey, bike riding's really down. How come? Well, I mean, the stars aren't aligned, and it's been declining for a long time. The tread on bikes is just getting worse and worse. And, I'm just making stuff up at this point because that's literally what's happening. They're not identifying, hey, maybe it's not safe to ride your bike. Maybe your bike gets stolen. Homeless people on the bike path, any of those factors. And then you defunded the cops. And so you got one traffic cop. So people drive around like maniacs. I mean, we know that to be true. We know that to be true. So it's dangerous to ride your bike. That's the bottom line. It's dangerous to ride your bike in Portland. And that sucks. But you know what it comes down to? You get what you pay for. You voted all this stuff in. Guess what? There's your impact. There's your sign, right? I mean, this is just kind of how it goes. And to have any other explanation, I mean, what could it possibly be? We've already identified all four of those factors pretty much are integrated, aren't they? Yeah. It's not bike technology. It's not that they don't have bike lanes. They've got bike lanes out the backside in Portland, right? I mean, they do. They just do. If you go down there, you're like, good Lord, where are we? Are we in Europe? Are we in France? I don't think France. Yeah, I only do that because of, famous bike races, Tour de France. But Portland's got to be like tippy top for, best bike infrastructure, whatever that is. And yet you've got a massive decline in ridership. Be interesting to see if anybody else picks up on this topic, but this one was super interesting to me because it's one of those peripheral things where you're like, oh, okay, that's just kind of one more thing in the ecosystem of what's gone on in a city like Portland. I don't think as many people ride bikes here in Seattle. I mean, I just don't, I don't think so. It's not as big a thing. I know it's a thing. It's a Northwest thing. And I like to ride a bike around. I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's great. Exercise. Yeah. I've got friends that do that. Financial planner just gets on his bike and rides for hours on end. So it's not that it's not a thing. It's just in Portland, it's a big thing and their numbers are being impacted. And, this is why, because you've made choices, got to live with those choices. Now we're going to try and ignore the end results of those choices. I don't know why bike riding is not as popular as it used to be. Yeah. We know. We just covered it. Thanks for being here. Catch up with you on the next one. Bye for now.